Mercedes G63, Tesla Model X, BMW X5, Mercedes GLE, Volkswagen Touareg, Nissan Murano and Toyota FJ Cruiser. All these vehicles are going to drive a long climb up the hill with series of diagonal suspensions. And besides, the GLE was here before, accompanied by the Audi Q8, BMW X6, Volvo XC90 and Range Rover Sport. I'll leave the link in description to the video, but at that time the GLE passed the obstacle by the switching off the ESP. And in this video we will see if the Mercedes can smoothly conquer the hill in off-road mode. By the way, I recommend you to subscribe to the channel because in the next video there will be an epic battle between Toyota RAV4, Nissan Vogue, Subaru Forester, Volkswagen Tiguan, Kia Sportage, Mitsubishi Outlander and even Chinese Changan CS75. It will be worth watching. Before we start, I'll tell you right away that this test is not fair. Cars have different drivers, colors and of course different tires. But the best I can do in this situation is to check the tire pressure so it would comply with stock settings. Now I'll tell you how we set the order of driving of contestants. The surface conditions deteriorates after each attempt, so obviously it will be easier for the first participants. Therefore we start with the car which has the lowest torque and the most powerful car will drive last. The 2019 Nissan Murano with 3.5-liter petrol V6 engine goes first. The automobile starts driving and the very first diagonal suspension has become a problem. The driver holds the engine RPMs, unloaded wheels keep sleeping and only after some time the traction control system engaged and the Nissan was able to drive on. The climb becomes steeper at the second obstacle and more torque is needed to spin the loaded wheels. The Nissan actively sleeps and raising clouds of dust. Look at the rear left wheel now, it stopped spinning though the engine RPMs were increasing. No, it is not the traction control, it is overheating of the all-wheel drive system. After a short pause, the driver returns to the start position, and as Murano has no off-road modes, the automobile drives per simpler trajectory and easily copes with the first obstacle. But nothing has changed at the second obstacle. Now the driver switched off the traction control system. The rear right wheel makes several spins and stops. The Murano has only one wheel rotating, the front left one. That means overheat again, and we have the next participant. The 2019 Volkswagen Touareg with 2-liter turbocharged petrol engine. The driver lifted up the air suspension to the upper position before starting. The Touareg drives by the most difficult line, and that's why its front left wheel goes up so high. The Volkswagen stops here and confidently pushes on with no wheel slip, which tells us about the very effective work of the traction control system. On the second obstacle, the Touareg rolls back a little and stays on 3 wheels, but it doesn't prevent the German SUV from pushing forward easily with engine revving at moderate 2000 RPM. The Volkswagen drives back to position itself on the place from where the BMW X6 and Mercedes GLE couldn't drive out in the previous video. The Touareg slips a little more, its engine revs up and the automobile successfully completes the task. 3 months pass since shooting of the previous video, and by that time the condition of the climb has changed significantly, and therefore one can't say that it's the same obstacle. It has definitely become less complicated. But this doesn't anyhow devalue the Touareg's result. We can be sure by example of the Murano that this climb still remains a challenging test. The Touareg reached the penultimate part and demonstrates the maximal rear suspension travel, and with no wheel slip at all, drives to the last obstacle. The Volkswagen's front right wheel sticks into the rock step and the left one fell into a pothole. The front left corner of the vehicle lifts maximally up, but the Touareg again performs perfectly. And now let's see how the Touareg drives in off-road mode. The Volkswagen takes the same difficult trajectory at the first obstacle, and the hanging wheel doesn't slip at all. The Touareg steadily demonstrates an excellent result. The only difference is that in off-road mode the traction control system engages a little early and almost completely eliminates the wheel slip. At the final part, the Volkswagen lifts up the front left wheel high and safely completes the conquest of the obstacle. The next participant is Mercedes, but not the new GLE. It is the predecessor, the W166 Mercedes ML. We will watch the new GLE afterwards. The 2013 Mercedes ML with 3.5-liter petrol engine. The Mercedes stopped at the first obstacle. The traction control requires some time for reaction and to allow driving forward. At the second obstacle, hanging wheel slips shortly and the ML pushes on. Once again, Mercedes drives only on 3 wheels, but it keeps climbing up confidently. On the penultimate test, we again see several rotations of unloaded wheels and then the ML drives forward. Look how abruptly the wheel starts slipping though the driver holds stable gas. Obviously, it is the specific of work of the traction control system. Now let's see how the ML performs on the same climb, but in off-road mode. The Mercedes confidently passes the first obstacle by the difficult line. At the second obstacle, where the climb becomes steeper, it is notable that unloaded wheels spin slower and make less rotations. This allows more precise driving, and it is important when driving through complicated obstacles. That's another proof of the more effective work of the traction control in off-road mode. The ML slightly slips at the beginning of the last obstacle, but then, with its front left wheel in the air, it confidently pushes forward. The next contestant is 2019 Mercedes GLE with 3-liter turbocharged petrol engine. Traditionally, the GLE starts in normal mode. In this case, it is comfort driving mode. At the very beginning of the first obstacle, the GLE slips with unloaded wheels until the traction control system engaged. The GLE slips longer at the second obstacle, but unloaded wheels are spinning at moderate speed. See how deep the rear left wheel dipped into the wheel arch. It doesn't even try to rotate under high pressure. The traction control can deliver enough torque in standard mode. That means it's about time to activate the off-road mode. It's totally different picture. A minor wheel slip and the GLE continues conquering the hill as nothing happened. It is obvious that electronic systems engage much more responsibly in off-road mode, preventing the wheels from idle spins. That's why the automobile smoothly drives forward without jerks. Now the last obstacle. The Mercedes drives by a difficult trajectory, lifting up the front left wheel. The traction control precisely distributes the momentum, completely eliminating the wheel slip. To understand the difference, here's how the GLE drove through this obstacle without activation of the off-road mode. The difference is colossal. The off-road mode significantly changes the GLE's performance, and we have the next participant. The 2014 BMW X5 in F15 body with mighty 4.4 twin-turbocharged V8. The BMW drives per difficult trajectory with front wheel traveling at maximum. The X5 reached the second obstacle where the climb goes steeper. After a slight slip, the BMW pushes on. Even when the automobile was on 3 wheels, the unloaded front left wheel is not making any unnecessary rotations. It was recommendable to stop the X5 a bit earlier, in the same place where the GLE got stuck in standard mode. But on the other hand, the BMW demonstrates an excellent job of the traction control system through the whole climb. Plus, don't forget about the powerful engine which can deliver more torque to loaded wheels. That's why I have no doubt that this X5 could deal with this obstacle easily. The final obstacle. There's a minor wheel slip at the beginning of the third obstacle and then everything goes predictably well. But keeping in mind how the BMW drove through more complicated parts, seems we couldn't see anything new. Let's drive on. The next one is 2016 Tesla Model X on huge 22-inch wheels. The Tesla will drive in standard mode, the same the electric car normally drives in the city. But to avoid undesired body contacts with the ground, the driver lifted up the suspension to the upper position. Tesla slips at the beginning of the first obstacle and then confidently drives by a difficult line off the trail. We see some unloaded wheels slipping at the second part. After unsuccessful attempts of changing the trajectory, the Tesla rolls back. The new trajectory and the electric car is driving on 3 wheels. It has enough grip to move a little further, but then the climb became steeper. Another rollback and new attempt per simple line. It's clearly visible how the Tesla's traction control engages. It can't react quickly on diagonal suspensions. That's why each time we see cloud of dust flying out of unloaded wheels, then slipping stops and the car drives on. Right here it is visible especially well. Wheel slip and then driving forward. Because of the long front overhang, Tesla takes a little more left at the last obstacle to avoid damaging the front bumper by the rock step. Anyway, check the difference of rotation speed of front and rear wheels of the Tesla. We've seen more effective traction control systems today. But don't rush to condemn the Tesla's all-wheel drive system. There's going to be another attempt with some different settings. The acceleration mode is now standard, before it was in chill. The steering mode is now in comfort, earlier it was in sport. The regenerative braking is now in low mode, before it was in standard. The Model X is again taking the most complicated line and demonstrates some front-wheel travel reserve. The electric crossover stopped at the second obstacle where it had to roll back. This time, after some minor wheel slip, the Tesla drives on. The Model X drives confidently even on 3 wheels. Despite notably high-speed rotation of unloaded wheels, the traction control system does its job and the Tesla reaches the last obstacle. This time the Model X drives by correct, that means difficult line. Unloaded wheels are slipping again, but the electric car drives very smoothly. And no jumps or jerking, which could scare an inexperienced driver. Now it's turn of the car most often mentioned in the comment section, the Mercedes G-Wagon. In our case, it is G63 with 5.5 twin-turbo V8 and purely non-off-road tires. Traditionally, we start in normal mode. One can decide that the G-Wagon is driving per more flat trajectory and its front left wheel almost doesn't lift, but it's all about suspension travel. Because of wheels not losing contact with surface, the G-Wagon doesn't even notice the second obstacle. Even intended stops at places where other participants had to step on gas to drive further, the G63 just had to start smoothly to pass, and this is all on high-speed road tires. Look at the rear suspension travel, a little bit more and the rear wheel will stick out of the car's body. It's a great visual demonstration of why the G-Wagon has excellent grip throughout the whole climb. The final part. A minor wheel slip at the very start and there'd be no need in further commenting. But look at the wheels. The rear left wheel is maximally deep in the arch, and the front one vice versa is out on maximum travel. The distance between marginal points of wheel travel is impressive. Now let's watch how the G-Wagon drives on low range with center and rear axle differentials locked. The G-Class easily drives through this part, though it had to slip a little during the previous attempt while waiting for the traction control to engage. The same picture is when driving out of the second obstacle. Where it slipped a little before, now the G-Wagon confidently drives forward. The final part is no exclusion. This time there's no wheel slip at all. Wheels are rotating proportionally to cover the distance. And this is a bonus for Toyota off-roaders fans, the 2008 Toyota FJ Cruiser with 4-liter petrol engine. The FJ starts driving in standard mode, and it's well visible how the traction control breaks down the slipping wheel. The climb became slightly steeper and the automobile responds by a little longer wheel slip. We intentionally stopped the Toyota to minimize the probability of driving through the obstacle using the momentum. But the FJ Cruiser does not respond to any provocations. The suspension travel limits and quickly reacting traction control system allows this Japanese off-roader to drive forward confidently despite the raw surface. The Toyota once again demonstrates the work of the traction control at the penultimate part of the climb. By the way, it is called A-Track, and thanks to it the FJ Cruiser easily deals with diagonal suspensions, including the last obstacle. And now let's sum up. The Nissan Murano showed the worst result among participants of this test, but actually it was not that bad in comparison to Lexus RX 350 from the previous video. Unlike the Lexus, the Murano drove to the first obstacle and reached the second one, where the climb becomes steeper. The Mercedes GLE. This particular test was arranged specially for this automobile, and in this time the GLE demonstrated a significant difference of performance in standard and off-road modes. Intensive wheel slip were replaced by the delicate interference of the traction control system, allowing the driver to precisely drive the automobile in difficult conditions. The W166 Mercedes ML, unlike the GLE, managed to climb the hill in standard mode. But at the same time, in off-road mode, the ML had more slip of unloaded wheels than the GLE, and in standard mode, the reaction to the gas pedal was too sharp, though the driver said he was stepping on gas smoothly. The BMW X5 had all prerequisites for demonstration of an excellent result: a powerful engine with lots of torque, a smart all-wheel drive system and tires perfectly matching the surface conditions, and all that without a rear locking differential, which is available as an option for this model. The Tesla is the first time on my channel, and it was very unusual to see how dirt flew off the wheels, but there was no typical engine sound change. The only sound we heard was hum of the cooling system fans. Speaking about the result, there was a visual demonstration of how correct system settings significantly affects the electric car performance. Eventually, the Tesla has coped with the obstacle. Moreover, despite diagonal suspension suggesting body twist, the huge windshield stretching to the roof remained intact. Lifting rear doors are still opening like the Tesla never did any off-roading. I made myself sure about that during the Tesla's famous dance show. The G-Wagon and the FJ Cruiser are true off-roaders, and if you have already commented that it is not appropriate to compare them to crossovers, you did right. These shouldn't be compared. Both automobiles are presented in this video to demonstrate the difference of behavior of crossovers and off-roaders in relatively similar conditions. But the G-Wagon is really badass. Huge suspension travels, tremendous torque and 3-locking differentials may become unnecessary because of the effective traction control system. If we add short overhangs, we will get an extremely capable car. The Toyota FJ Cruiser has easily coped with all obstacles thanks to electronics, and for more complicated situations it has the low range in transmission and rear locking differential. The last but not the least is the Volkswagen Touareg. Despite the weakest engine, the Volkswagen has demonstrated the best result among crossovers. Its traction control system reacts immediately, and even on purely road tires, the Touareg easily drove through all obstacles. That's all for me. Please comment which vehicle surprised you and which one you expected to perform better. My name is Diaz. See you in the next video.